Hey guys, Calvin and Carver here from the Montana Gear Lab. Our final project was studying the mechanical advantage efficiency and friction losses for block and tackle systems when climbing and canyoneering. We had a lot of fun while doing this, and we hope you guys enjoy.
For a quick background, a block and tackle originated in sailing and is a simple way to rig a mechanical advantage system used for lifts. A lift is used to move someone or something just a few inches, different from a haul, which is used to move something longer. Now we're going to explain some simple mechanical advantage systems.
All right, so let's quickly go over simple mechanical advantage systems. So you can always tell what your advantage system is based on how many tensions are going to your load. So for this one, you have one tension, so it's a 1-to-1, and you're always going to be pulling with one tension of force. And then the redirect is so that you can pull down and use your body weight, and it's just a lot easier to pull with. But you have to be careful because every pulley you use to redirect with has an efficiency value E. And that efficiency value E is going to be less than 1 due to the fact that there will be frictional losses within your pulley. So on the other side, you're going to have your tension times that E value, which will be less than the initial value that you pulled with. And this is a compounding effect. As you can see with your 3-to-1, you have your 1, 2, 3 tensions. But every time you go through a pulley, this number will get lower and lower. Yes, Carver.
So it's not actually a 3-to-1?
No, it's not actually a 3-to-1 because you're losing your tension force due to friction every time that you go through one. So eventually, when you get to your 5-to-1, each time you add a pulley will drastically increase your frictional losses. So each time you add a tension, it isn't really contributing to your overall pulling force on your load. So the difference for our system, the block and tackle system, is we're still going to go through from 1-to-1 up to 5-to-1, but instead of having an individual carabiner for each wraparound, you go through the same carabiner on the anchor and on the load side. And the frictional losses will come from both the carabiner and the rope pressing on itself. So once you add up each and every single one of these, since our E value is less than 1, we can come up with this equation that will tell us what our maximum mechanical advantage will be with a redirect, which is where this extra bit comes from. And for our analysis, we'll be comparing one where these are all carabiners, and then one where they're all slings, and hope that our data meets in the middle.
2, 1.
Now that we've gone over a little bit of background on mechanical advantage systems, you might be wondering, where will you use a block and tackle system? Oh no, Chelsea is rappelling and she did not let out enough rope. And since she's on a static, cloved off system, we might need to give a block and tackle to lift her off of it so that we can adjust it and do what we need. Luckily, as the most prominent anchor manager outside of Cobley Hall, I carry a 240 centimeter sling and a basic progress catcher. And we can use these to set up our block and tackle. Put into our anchor. And then we can go through. Make sure we're locked off here. And then attach our basic. Why is this not working? Now we're here. We can go into our basic and lock that off. Once we're locked off, we're at a 1-to-1 with a redirect right now. And as we pass through, we're now at a 3-to-1. And then we can pass through again. That will be our 3-to-1 with the redirect. And now, what we can do, we can unweight that load line and then tie ourselves off after getting some of the slack out of the system. And we'll secure it off with a mariner's hitch. Remembering to never unlock a loaded carabiner. So now that she's tied off, we can do what we need to do with our anchor. And then when we're ready to be done, we can make sure we keep these lines tensioned. Take the carabiner off. And you'll notice that I don't have to put a lot of force on this. It's kind of self-cinching and keeping her up on her own. And to make sure we don't drop our poor professor here, make sure to always keep that next line tensioned.
You will fail if you drop me.
That's not what we want to see. Slowly unload until she is back on her line. And finally, we take our capture off. Oh, sorry. Bada bing, bada boom. Ready to carry on. Hooray.
Here we have our test setup to find our E efficiency values. The setup consists of one line scale on the load, a sling that is running through our pulley, in this case the carabiner, to our line scale that we're pulling on. For testing purposes, these guys are going to be in peak mode in recording kilonewtons. We're going to try and pull vertically in line with this load to minimize air in the loading. The variations that we're going to test for efficiency are the one you can see here with the new sling running through a carabiner. The other one is going to be an old sling running through the same carabiner, and the third one is going to be a sling running through a sling. All right, we're going to do some testing on this guy here, and then we'll get back to you with some data.
Alrighty, so now that we've done our 10 tests for the new sling on carabiner, old sling on carabiner, and the sling on sling, we have our data up here, and as you can see, the efficiency loss for the new sling was about 65%. The old sling was about 62%, and then the sling on sling was 51%. And for a little comparison here, a micro traction through a rope is about a 90% value, and a rope through a carabiner is about 60%. So this is kind of interesting. Using that 65% value with the new sling and that 51% value for the sling on sling, we were able to create this graph here, which is utilizing our equation that we found earlier in the video. The blue line on this one is going to be the sling on carabiner, and the red line is going to be the sling on sling. So hopefully when we go do our mechanical advantage testing, we get some values that nest in between that.
Due to our differences in friction values between the sling on sling and then the sling on carabiner, we were curious about when the sling is ran through the fat side versus the skinny side, if that overlap for the sling on sling occurs more, decreasing the mechanical advantage. So we're going to be testing the fat side like this, and then also the sling through the skinny side like this.
And we're going to do that for both.
Boom, bang.
Bah! Now that we have our one-to-one testing for our efficiency values out of the way, we have our same one-to-one setup with our line scale on our load. And you can see there's one tension affecting our load right now. So to create our 3-to-1, we go back through our load. And now you can see that there is 3 lines attached to our load. And we're adding a redirect to change the pulling force, but it does not actually add any pulling mechanical advantage to our load. In your discussion.
Dude, he's got a hole in his pants.
All right, we have our 3-to-1 set up here, and we're gonna run you guys through how it works. Pull.
Holy cow.
And then you got your numbers. It's 0.64 on our pull strand and a 0.76 on our load strand. Oh, very nice. All right, so we're here working on our 5-to-1, and we're getting numbers in a weird frame rate, and that's okay. So we got 0.43 and 0.54. But what's funny is when we try and loosen it, it cinches up really tight. So we have to kind of add some slack to re-zero our scales. Very cool. Good job, Carver.
Thanks.
Hey guys, post-testing Calvin here. We finished up all our testing between our 2-to-1 to the 5-to-1, and now we can add those values to this graph here. Wow, would you look at that? All right, so the data sits in between where we want it to, and as you can see, a cool little trend we noticed is that for the 2-to-1 and 3-to-1 systems, where the sling is mostly on carabiner, it tracks closer to the carabiner, and then as you add those more additional wraps, it drops down into the middle, and you can kind of see that your optimal system is somewhere between a 3-to-1 to a 4-to-1 to a 5-to-1, and the actual MA is really only around 1.3 to 1.2.
Okay, that's all we have for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed learning something about frictional losses in this simple block and tackle system. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.
Go Avs!